Steve Komphela didn't go and beg for his job at Morocco Swallows. That's why he came to you and explained and put Elasto under the bus and say the chairman of Morocco Swallows is a great gentleman, is a good leader, of which I'm not saying is not true, but the problem with finances at Swallows, the owner agreed that so the way problem with Swallows, the wage bill was very high.
Biso, welcome back. Nadeem, as per usual, and Coach Mark, of course. Guys, let's go straight into it. Kaizer Chiefs coach Kevin Johnson has something to say over the week in and around money, the availability of funds in order to buy players as an equivalent to buying success. Have a listen.
I think what we have at the club is good enough to take them to the end of the season and get them many points. And like I said earlier on, pray to God, get them one trophy, which they are capable of winning. So it's about what we do on the pitch, how we handle those strikers, because they do have some quality strikers. And therefore, you've got to work with them constantly. I don't think it's a team that can buy success.
I must admit, I agree with a lot of what he's saying. I don't think you can buy success. I do think that money can, the availability of money can assist and help you in being able to shape a team for success. But that's just me. Biso, there's 2 points to that. You can't buy success as the one in football. The other is Chiefs have a good enough team to even win a trophy this season.
Firstly, with the buying of success, I agree with them in that you can't buy success. You can buy quality. But in order for you to attain success, there needs to be a level of consistency first. There needs to be a level of, commitment from the players, commitment from the coaches, quality with the coaching also, to get the team to succeed. I mean, we've seen, if we're taking it abroad, for example, you look at a PSG. In 2011, they only had 2 titles, league titles. Since then, they've won 9. Because of that Qatari investment. But success is also very relative, because why are they investing? They want to win the Champions League. They haven't been able to do that. You bring it back home with the Mamelodi Sundowns, for example. We've seen the amount of quality that they've bought. We've seen what it's done for them in terms of domestic football in the league. But that's not why Sundowns is investing so much. They want to win the CAF Champions League. Now, in that sense, is it success or is it... That's why I'm saying that it's very relative what success is. As for Chiefs with winning trophies, it's a very difficult one, because Kaizer Chiefs this season have played 21 games. They've only scored 20 goals. They've only got 8 goal scorers in their team. In order for you to win trophies, to have cup runs and all that, you need to be able to score goals. You need to be able to be converting. They're not getting enough goals from their team for me to say that they would be a favorite in a
20 out of 21, not good enough?
No, it's not. If you're looking at, in the league, Kaizer Chiefs have scored 16 goals. There's 5 teams that are already 20 or more. There's only about 4 or 5 teams, I think, that have scored less goals than Kaizer Chiefs. So they are struggling to score goals. And yes, we can talk about the quality that Sundowns has, the quality that Orlando Pirates has. But besides those two, you would expect a Kaizer Chiefs to have enough quality to still outscore most of the other teams in the league. They're struggling to do that.
Mark, 2 points being raised there. Don't know which one you want to tackle or both of them.
Well, when we speak about buying success, it's fully agreed. You can buy a whole lot of players and feel that that's enough to win you a league. Football just doesn't work that way. If you look at Stellenbosch and what they've done, they've won a trophy this season, and is that a bought success? I mean, did they buy any players? They've invested very smart. They've reared a lot of youngsters and brought a lot of youngsters through. They've been a part of a system for a long time, so they understand the system. And it's about understanding and knowing who you are as a club. And that is the most important thing. Kaizer Chiefs are, arguably the biggest club in the country when you speak about support and fan base. And so their challenges are a lot different to every other club, because that fan base that they own, that they have, demand success. They want success. They don't support the team for nothing. They don't want to support a losing team. So the challenges are very different. And for me, I think that Kaizer Chiefs have just been caught in between two worlds, where are we rebuilding or are we challenging? And so, that's been, I think, the major challenge. And I like the fact that they've taken a stance now that, they're going to kind of take their time. This season, they're not going to just buy unnecessarily. We've heard that Kevin Johnson is very much an interim coach, and that they plan to bring in a new coach at the new season. And so it's almost like they're going to start afresh. And so they've kind of almost accepted where they are, and now they're willing to just see out
Have
the
they,
season.
though, if the coach is saying they've got a trophy in them this season?
When you look at Chiefs' squad, and you look at Stellenbosch's squad, per se, is Chiefs' squad better or worse than Stellenbosch's? So Stellenbosch were able to win a trophy. So it's about them doing the right things, and that's what he's saying. It's about, getting it right on the field. They have the personnel, and they can compete. If they are true to who they are right now, in terms of their players, the personnel that they carry, the coaching complement, they know exactly what they have and play to their strengths, play to the strengths of their players. It's going to be a process, but that's the nature of our league. I think anybody is able to win a title. They look at Stellenbosch and say, okay, Stellenbosch are not better than us necessarily in terms of their personnel. So why can't we do it? And they just need to find out how it is they're going to go about doing that.
Nadim Lukale.
Okay, I don't know what the coach. I think it's one of those statements where we know that to be involved in sport, in any sport, it could be basketball, Formula One, you need money. The richest owners of the teams in any sport, they're usually the one actually who can win. If you look at Real Madrid, they're going to sign Mbappe because they have a lot of money. If you are going to look at Kaizer Chiefs, yes, they've not been winning a while, but the team that has been winning is owned by a billionaire in South African rand and also a billionaire in US dollars, Patrice Ncube. They can have the best facilities, hire the best coaches, have the best treatment. So I honestly feel that money plays a huge role to a point where you can say you can buy success. Remember Chelsea before they hired Jose Mourinho, Ramovic bought him 50 years without winning a league title. But immediately the money was invested. That's where they started winning. Sundowns without Mtsipe's money, they've never won like 5 consecutive league titles ever. But now they've won the Champions League, which have never won it without his money. Now they're dominating South African football with cost money. I don't know what he's trying to do. Maybe listen to Steve Komphela too much, but money plays a huge role to a point where you can say you can buy success in football. It's not always guaranteed, of course, but that's where you can get the best coaches. Pitso Msimane, if you get Pitso Msimane will demand a lot of money, but immediately you sign him in your team will improve. If you have your Rulani, you know that there will be improvement. You hire the best doctors, you have best facilities, it guarantees money. I disagree with the statement that money you can buy success in football.
The second one? Chiefs have a trophy in them this season?
No, they don't. I mean, they couldn't even beat Royal AM, a team that lost to Amazulu. Once you lose to Amazulu, you know that here's a problem. Remember, Royal AM beat Amazulu 3-1 when Andile Mpisane played in that game. Chiefs. Then the following game they played Kaizer Chiefs. Chiefs couldn't even score a
single goal. Why are Royal AM and Amazulu the bar?
Because they are one of the lowest teams if you look at the performance. Amazulu in the last calendar year, they've not won even 3 away matches. They've been struggling in the PSL. It's one of those teams where you know when they play away, they're almost guaranteed to lose. So Kaizer Chiefs, they lose to Royal AM, who couldn't even sign players.
True, yeah.
They're still playing with like teams from last season. Chiefs signed 12 players in the past window. I mean, in August, July. After all those additions, they got him Kevin Johnson to improve the team, but they couldn't beat Royal AM. There's no trophy Andile that they can win this season because Sundowns, Pirates, Stellenbosch are still there. I don't see them beating those teams actually when it matters.
Let's take a break. Well, let's go into it. You just heard it now in that promo. We did have a conversation about it yesterday as well. The guys are here. It's a podcast Friday. And I love rivalry in sport. I love there being like these two people that are big rivals that don't get along. Be it Barcelona and Madrid, be it, I don't know, Lakers and the Bulls at some point, Ferrari and Mercedes. I like there to be these two huge figures that go at each other. But I love it in a sports sense. I don't know how I feel when it goes off the tangent of sport, right? I don't know how it feels when it gets off the pitch. I mean, even coaches don't get along and they don't shake hands and they walk off. It adds to the intrigue and the mystery and the fantasticness of the sport, right? But is there a line that is a line too far? Let me play you this first and then I'll ask you a question.
I got a call from him during the bus driving to Mbombela. What he told me, it was, who the are you to come to my country? I just quote him. He said again, who the are you to come into my country and talk to me like this? Do you know who my parents are? Be careful how you talk because you are in my country. After that, I told him that I don't care.
So, I mean, that has to be taken very seriously in one account. But also, we have to bear in mind, this is what one person has said. We don't know what the other has said and what the story might be. So
yeah.
I need us to tread very carefully here, but not talk necessarily about the phone call to which only two people were privy to, correct? Rulani might come out and say, I have no idea what he's talking about. We had a conversation and this is what I said, this is not what I didn't say. And I don't think, it's he said, and truth is somewhere in the middle of all of that. But surely, this has got to say to you, P. So, gee whiz, I love it.
I was saying before the show that I've marked the 6th of March 2024, which is when TS Galaxy is going to meet Mamelodi Sundowns.
I can't wait. I am at the stadium. Don't book me.
I definitely will not be watching the match. I want a pitch side camera. That's all I want to watch, the two of them, the entire match. Because it's, we love rivalries in football, right? Especially in a case where there's two coaches. I mean, you remember back in the day, you had your Sir Alex and Wenger. You've got your Mourinho and Pep. You've got your Pep and Klopp right now, which isn't really a...
Nah, that one's too crazy.
It's very soft.
It's too nice. Klopp and Arteta at the moment.
Yes. You see, so we love rivalries like that. And to be fair to the TS Galaxy coach, the last 3 games, they've won 2 of them against Mamelodi Sundowns. Yes, with Rulani, they only played that 1 game, and which he won on penalties. But that statement by Rulani afterwards really fueled what we are seeing now, saying that they were missing all those players. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle themselves on the touchline before we even get to how the game will go itself.
Nadim?
Yeah, it's interesting because, as you say, we mustn't speak about the call. If Rulani,
we don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know.
If Rulani said that, of course, that will be unfortunate because you have to always respect your fellow professional. But as Biso was saying, 6th of March, it will be interesting because I'm beginning to think this TS Gala's coach, he could be one of the best coaches in the PSL, if not in the top 3 best coaches in the PSL. If you look how he has lost players, Obas, Melo Subtelezi to Pirates, given him Smango to Kaizer Chiefs. But now Mojela coming from NFG.
Dr. Kamala's favorite player
just
right
improve the players also that were there. That's the character of a good coach. Him and Rulani, honestly, I don't know what they're fighting for. It's all about football. But immediately they now involve families and threatening. It's one of those things that you don't like.
So you think Sia Ramovic is one of the best coaches in South Africa?
I would think it's almost the same because my best coach in the PSL is Eric Tinkler. I always think it's almost on par with Eric Tinkler. Both of them, him and Eric Tinkler, I rate them very highly. I've seen him playing football. He knows, he studies the game very well. If you look at Ncube, he has already scored 5 goals at TS Galaxy. You can see that this guy is actually using him according to his strength. He's improving. Bernard Parker, I've seen Bernard Parker playing his best football, not at Kaizer Chiefs, at TS Galaxy. At one point in time was the man of the match. But at Kaizer Chiefs, people, even the fans, were not happy with Bernard Parker. He just knows how to improve players.
Mark?
Yeah, certainly. When you speak about the coach and what he's done at Galaxy, I think he's a fantastic coach. I echo those sentiments. One of my favorite players in the league at the moment is actually Mvelase, who plays in the midfield for Galaxy. He's very underrated at the moment, but the football that they play, he makes them tick. And so the coach definitely knows what he's doing. And I'm a big fan of his as well. The incident now with Rulani, that's why they say this is the only real reality TV in the world. I don't believe in reality TV at all. I think sport is the only real reality TV because you can't script these kind of things.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't script the fact that the coach goes into a press conference and he says, hey, I'm telling you verbatim what. And so... Yes, I don't want to get much into that. As you said, there's, 3 sides to every story. Yeah. So we're not going to get into that. But it does, just bring some spice to the league. And so it's going to be very interesting to see. Are they going to shake hands on the 6th of March? That remains to be seen.
Are they going to shake hands? Surely not.
Definitely not.
Surely not. Speaking of course, Rulani, he's also one of those coaches that has spoken wildly about how he likes to improve players. But part of his improving players sometimes is putting them in maybe what they might not reckon as comfortable positions by moving them. The latest one is Zungu. Have a listen to Rulani Mukwena here, and then we will discuss it thereafter. You don't have it? Okay, fine. While Malcolm's trying to get it. Mark, Bongani Zungu, in the last 2 matches that I've seen him, against Orlando Pirates and now against La Masia, what position has he been playing?
So again, it's the modern way. And we know Coach Rulani is a very modern coach. And you have to appreciate that about him because he's literally gone over and above. And that's what makes it so difficult to compete against him. Bongani Zungu is playing almost the role that Rivaldo Kutsia was playing for a long time. Rivaldo was, defender come midfielder, because he would be the third centre back when they defend. He would step into the midfield, and it seems like Zungu is pretty much filling that role now. But what position does Aubrey Modiba play? What position does Butuwil play? What position does Allende play? There's so many players.
The Allende one gets me every time.
There's so many players. But Pitso Mosimane actually said this. He said that, and I mean, obviously Rulani is from the school of Pitso, but the modern footballer cannot play one position.
Yeah.
You have to be able to play multiple positions. That's exactly what Sundowns embody. So, I mean, Aubrey Modiba is not playing left back for Sundowns.
Yeah.
He starts wide and tucks inside Butuwil, who's supposed to be kind of a left back, but he's always finding himself inside as well. Allende, we don't even know what to call his position.
Yeah.
But that's modern football for you. And so...
and it started with the Klompo, where I thought Klompo was a 6 for a long time. But then what 6 is in the box as much as what Klompo was? Do you know what I mean? Klompo could score a tap-in, and that's not a 6 position necessarily.
I mean, Mudau. Look at Kuliso Mudau. How often do you see him receiving the ball from Aubrey Modiba? So you're looking at your two wing-backs, both in the 18 area at the same time. That's unheard of. Normally you'll say when the right fullback goes, the left one must stay. But that's not how Sundowns play, and that's modern football for you. So I think it's very much the role Rivaldo Kutsia was playing for a long time for Sundowns. So for that position, you need someone who's very comfortable on the ball,
but who
can defend as well. And so that's why Rivaldo was perfect for that position. And so maybe the next best person is a Bongani Zungu.
Let's hear what Rulani had to say.
We took Mshishi to a different position. We took Nao Mahema to a different position. It was very difficult for them to readjust to that because we had not trained that way. And sometimes these things work, sometimes they don't work. And today I think it worked well for us. And at the end is huge compliment to the players for their tactical versatility and their ability to adhere to instructions and adapt because of their quality, to be honest.
Bongani Zungu, central defender. And I think it was in a back 3.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why he's actually going to be shifted in the central bank is because in his position, the competition is too much for him. He's not been a starter at Mamelodi Sundowns. If the coach feels that's why he can get more game time. Because if you look at Bongani Zungu's career, since he came back from South Africa, he's not been at his best. When he left, went to Europe, even played for Rangers, coached by Steven Gerrard. Yes, exactly. He was like one of the players you expected so much from him because he's still not that old. Actually, I know he's 32. But he's one of those players you still expected him to be in Europe. By Coach Rulani saying he now can play the centre back, you just know that it's almost the end of his career. He's not there. Yes, he's not there because it's the best defender. He's there because at his best position, the competition, he cannot start at Sundowns. That's the reason.
But I mean, I can then bring Mvala to you to say, it wasn't that his career was over or that he was towards the end of his career.
Mvala has always been a defensive player. He could be from under 23 from Highlands Park.
But he wasn't a central defender.
Exactly.
That he was converted to.
He was, but again, he can still even play now as a holding midfielder. It's always been like more a defensive midfielder, Mvala. That is position from Highlands Park. He has never been an offensive player the way I know him. But with Zungu, was a midfielder, but more like of an offensive midfielder. The reason why he cannot play there, Sundowns are packed with so much talent. He cannot crack it there. He cannot be a starter. That's why the coach is looking for a position for him at the back. Again, I don't know if it's going to work out because it's not a position that he has been playing. Just like Charmaine at Real Madrid, they suffered so many injuries. Charmaine is always a holding midfielder or attacking midfielder, but now he's been playing as a centre back. It can happen. Some players, they can go. Patrick Moyo is a good example. Was a striker, and then he went to Kaizer Chiefs and became a defender. He prolonged his career. If it's a way of prolonging his career, Rulani, it can work for Bongani Zungu. If he can stay disciplined and just defend well, you never know.
Personally, I'm a fan of the notion of taking a midfielder back into the defense because for a possession-based team like Mamelodi Sundowns, it helps with the build-up, it helps with the fluidity. They can play the ball from the back. You know, he sees a pass. That's the one thing about midfielders. So in that sense, I agree with it. I mean, we've seen a Rodri, for example, do it for Manchester City at times, and even for Spain especially. We've seen a Frankie de Jong do it for Barca.
What happened when he played for Spain, Rod?
When he played where in the centre back. That's the part that I'm gonna get to.
Okay.
So we've seen Declan Rice, for example, do it also when he was still at West Ham. My only issue with that situation is you can do that against La Masia because La Masia isn't attacking you very high. La Masia is sitting back and trying to prevent conceding 10 goals. But if you're going to play against a much more pacey attack,
they play Pirates.
they played Pirates, but Pirates was already a man down.
Yeah.
So Pirates wasn't attacking them as much. If you're going to play in the CAF Champions League, for example, and you're playing a team that has pace up front, the one thing about defensive midfielders that move back into that slot is that it takes a long time for them to build the defensive awareness for them to be able, because the thing about it, if you're in midfield and you are playing a pass, you can make a mistake, there's someone behind you that can defend. Now when you are in defense but you are still trying to play like a midfielder, the minute you make a mistake, the only person behind you is a goalkeeper.
I would imagine that Mvala was moved to defense for very different reasons to Zungu. The way Sundowns play, and the type of player Mvala is, unfortunately in the midfield, he's not the most comfortable on the ball. And Sundowns want to dominate the ball. So in the midfield, they need ballers like Kaizer. They can get the ball under pressure. And Mvala's not that guy. But we know he's got a big heart. He's got the biggest heart of anyone you've ever seen on the field. Because he'll put his body on the line. And I think that more than anything would be the reason why Mvala was changed. And Zungu is, I think, for very different reasons.
Well, let's go to the biggest story of this week, and it broke down on this show right here. Steve Komphela's first interview since leaving Morocco Swallows Football Club and his issues with it. But firstly, let's hear from him. This is Steve Komphela on his exit.
Now, when I look at Morocco Swallows, the number of players, they lost bread, they lost earnings. They I don't know where they at. And I owe those guys, if I'm a true leader and not faking leadership, when they go through such, it should pain me so much to say, let me also be part of the suffering.
He goes on, Steve, to put the blame squarely on the person who at the time, he's the GM now, but was the team manager. Elasto.
If you put a guy at a position, say manage the team, and the guy is not capable or efficient enough, then you have to find a way to remove them. But if you don't remove them and they are there and they continue in their way of doing things, that is anti-progress. Because at some point, there's obedience, there's malicious obedience.
Elasto then called us the next day and said, I'm owed a right of reply and I'd like to respond to everything Steve has. We allowed it. He came on. This is what he had to say about Steve.
I think when Coach Steve came to the club, we knew where he was coming from. And entering into the environment of Morocco Swallow, it wasn't going to be easy for Coach Steve. One had to get used to him. He's a coach with certain preference. I've worked with so many coaches, Coach Middendorp, Dylan Kerr, Coach Brandon Trutham. I can tell you, never have I had such kind of complaint. But coaches are different, and one is to adjust to how they want to do things.
That was him being tame. He then hit back at what Steve had said.
I think it's unnecessary, honestly, right now to try to say the issues that are at the club or whatever the state of the club at the moment can be attributed to a team that wanted to have a team talk or a video session in a gym. I think that is far from the truth. I would have expected, honestly, that is a coach that, looking at your question, that would have wanted to speak about what is the main reason why it's not at school. What are the issues at the club? But I just felt somebody who was just out there to just make sure that he assassinates my character.
One feels his character was assassinated and then says that the reason Steve got let go at Swallows is because he sided with the players and did not do enough to get the players back on the field when they wanted their money and wanted to strike. Steve feels Elasto made his job and therefore the club's job difficult. They both agree that he delivered on results. Mark, I don't even know what question to ask here. You heard both conversations. What's your take on it?
If I'm being honest with you,
you have to be honest. What do you mean?
Yeah. I don't understand why Elasto is in the hot seat. Ultimately, for me, Elasto is the team manager, has been the team manager. And as far as I know, team managers act on instruction. And I'm not saying anything derogatory about him. It's his job. So he gets his orders from higher up. And so I don't understand why he's coming under fire and why because he's given certain parameters to work within, and that ultimately is what has caused all the issues, because it's not like he has a big budget. So everything that he's not able to deliver is not his doing. He's limited. His hands are tied. There's only so much that he can do.
But I tried to go there, Mark. I tried to go there with him to say, maybe you can't do this because there's no money at Swallows. And he says, yeah, they have some issues, but they don't have money issues.
Now, Elasto's been with the club for how long? Since where does he come with the club? And that's the thing you have to understand. So when I think second division, They had a certain budget. They came to NFD, and literally he's been there throughout the process.
I think it's 3 years he's been there?
No, it's
Probably
longer
a bit
than
longer?
that.
4
It's
years.
longer
3, 4
than
years.
that.
Yeah,
I can tell you that. It's longer than that. But everything he does is not his own doing. He's working with what he is given. And ultimately, you get a personality and a coach like Coach. And this is not a go at Coach Steve or anything. But for me, we're asking the wrong people are answering these questions. Ultimately, I don't.
Steve was the right person.
Yes.
And he brought on Elasto.
So Elasto is always going to protect the club. That's his job. He has to protect the image of the club. So if we want the right answers, for me, we have to go higher than Elasto.
Very quickly, Nadeem, the matter between Moroka Swallows Football Club as well as, Elasto, whom I know for sure does everything at that club. Yes, he might do. I mean, the big decisions I don't think that Elasto makes, which Mark is completely right on. But the running of the club, the everyday running of the club, Elasto is in charge of that. We spoke to Coach Brendan Trutter here. He said the exact same thing, and I put that to Elasto, and Elasto said, no, both Brendan Trutter and Steve Komphela are lying when they've tabled the issues that they had. You heard both conversations. What did you think?
I was more disappointed with Steve Komphela. Just before Elasto demanded the right of reply, I felt it was unfair to Elasto because we all know the problems that Morocco Swallows are finances, paying off players. Not even a single player that complained about eating in the gym or ice bucket. All those kind of things were not complained by the only problem that all the players we spoke to, they want salaries end of the month, of which some of them they were not getting for up to 5 months. Some of them, one of the players actually confirmed that. But now Steve Komphela, you say the team manager was the cause of the problem, because I heard in one of the interviews also he said the owner is a brilliant guy, he's a great man, but the problem was Elasto, of which to me I don't think is the case. The problem was finances, of which Elasto is not controlling the finances. That is not his team. One, David is the one who owns Morocco Swallows, is the one who runs the team with the budget, of which that guy was very honest when he says the wage bill of Morocco Swallows was 4.8 million, the PSL current is around 2 million. So they could not be able to afford running a team. Steve Komphela, the information was already there public. For him to go after Elasto, I felt it's personally and unfair. I honestly feel it's unnecessary.
But what if I bring it to you like this, to say, to book a facility in a hotel that you're staying in doesn't need money. You're already paying for that facility by being there. It is of use to it. You just need to be efficient enough to do it. To know that because the coach Brandon Trutter says, I'll spend my own money and then at some point or another, Elasto will come back and refund me that money. To know that, players need strappings, players need ice baths, players need all of those things at the end of every training session and have those things available is once again an efficiency problem. Again. So you're making the coach's job difficult.
That's the thing. Lucky enough, I once a friend with a coach who was running a team as a CEO and as a coach, Roger Desa. So I understand mainly how soccer owners run the team. If you're a coach, like a small, Solos is a small team. Basically, yes, it's a big name, old team, but obviously it's not like a mega club like Kaizer Chiefs, Sundowns, Orlando Pirates. Steve Komphela, it's very clear from us. The divisions were there. He didn't have a good relationship with Elasto, because if they were getting along, it's very clear, coach, what are the plans for the weekend? Did you book this? Okay, let me do that. You can't say it's your job, you must do it. It's teamwork. That's how successful people run it. I honestly
You're a team manager. You do your job.
Yes,
you don't need to tell you to do your job.
That's not the problem.
To book a conference room.
As Swallows, the problem is not Elasto. It's finances paying off the club. No player complain about Steve Komphela is not at Swallows, not because of Elasto, because they couldn't afford him anymore. They were trying to downsize the wage bill, of which that's what Lorum said. All the players want, they must go and beg for their job. Steve Komphela didn't go and beg for his job at Morocco Swallows. That's why he came to you and explained and put Elasto under the bus and say the chairman of Morocco Swallows is a great gentleman, is a good leader, of which I'm not saying is not true, but the problem with finances at Swallows, the owner agreed that so the way problem with Swallows, the wage bill was very high. There were players like one decided Labiga and 100,000 who was injured, who was not even playing. So it became difficult. It's very expensive to run a PSL team. We all know that. One spoke with Mike Mkwena, who said football is an expensive hobby. It's so expensive. Steve Komphela, I respect him so much, but he became a coward by just throwing Elasto under the bus. Of which, for me, I feel all those things, booking a conference room and all those things, are not the main problem why Steve is no longer at Swallows. There's problem. They wanted to reduce the wage bill, of which they did. That's why Andile is not there. That's why some of the players who were high earners are not there.
Andile, I can tell you as well, for Elasto to do his job, finances are important.
Yeah.
And if you're not able to meet financial responsibilities of the players, how much? So when he goes to book something or go and buy something, is there a kitty that he's drawing from? Or does he have to wait for finances to come in? Sometimes it gets very difficult when you are not being...
Then Elasto should have not come here to lie to us. Then Elasto should have come here and told us the truth.
Elasto's job is to protect the image of the club.
He calls it protecting. I call it lying to us. It's 1848 in the
No,
mighty
but
Metro
people in
FM.
that position in each and every club, they are there to protect.
No, I hear you. Then don't go on radio.
He felt
Stay at home.
Definitely. I
Stay at
would
home.
agree
Don't
with
come
that.
on radio.
I would agree with that.
Because now you're here and you're being...
He just didn't like what Steve said because Steve was
It's okay. Then send him a
as if
text.
he has been the main problem.
Or give him a Rulani call.
I actually what I didn't like about what I didn't like about Steve, I saw the people were insulting Elasto, saying they've been supporting Swallows, they will deal with him. Why is he destroying Swallows? Of which Steve Komphela, that was
But that's how Steve feels. That's what Coach Brandon Truth
Elasto wanted to come here and explain that is not a problem. Steve was not telling the truth. What Steve said, it was an alternative truth.
Well, you decide who you believe in this one as well. But all I'm saying is if you're going to come here, at least tell us the truth. Now, let's look forward to the weekend.
Not
Do
an
we take a break now?
alternative truth.
Do you take a break now? Come back and then go for it. Cool, let's do it. But they've also got an unbeaten run, Steadies, at the moment.
Yes, so going back to last year, Steadies are unbeaten in 12 games right now. 1-9, drew 3. That's the longest unbeaten run of every single team in the country at the moment.
They've got a better record than Sundowns?
They've got a better record than Sundowns because Sundowns had a loss late last year.
What about Pirates? They're going to be playing a non-top flight side, and what's their record with non-top flight sides?
So it's actually a decent record for Pirates when it comes to playing non-top flight sides. They've played games, but they only lost twice to teams that are not in the top flight, and that is 2003 versus Platinum Stars, and then 2013 versus Maluti.
We can never forget that.
Indeed, it's actually the 11th anniversary today because that was 23 February 2013 when that happened.
Wow, so it's 11 years ago today.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It is 11 years ago today, Opta. We appreciate you. How does everybody follow you?
You know the places, Andile, all social media platforms, Opta Jabu and Ladum Analytics. Thank you.